So continuing with the 7-star gifted Guardians champions, we already covered Adam Warlock, and in the last video we actually covered Professor X, meaning there's only 3 champions left. But of course the champion we're gonna be taking a look at today is none other than my good friend T2's favorite, and that is Diablo. Now Diablo's position in this game is very interesting. He's sort of underrated, but everyone knows how good he is. But hopefully this changes with the arrival of the 7-star. Now he did win the last poll that I actually made, so there's pretty much only 2 champions left. But like we always do with these kinds of videos, let's actually go over all of his abilities first, and then later on discuss why you should play him.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
What?
Hello, you're fired. You know how much I sacrificed? What are you waiting for? Chinese New Year? Go, go, go!
He has an additional amount of energy resistance, and incoming poison effects suffer minus 100% potency, and his basic attacks deal energy damage instead of physical. Now moving on to his pre-fight ability, he can add up to 3 alchemical ingredients to his Philosopher's Mix passive, but he can only add 1 of each type to a fight. And for each ingredient type that is not used, he gains 2 indefinite Vial of Might, granting him additional attack rating, as well as 10% poison potency. Any max stacks of these that you can have is 8. Now moving on to his Philosopher's Mix, which he gains after launching a special attack and lasts for 8 seconds per level of the special attack used, and it also heals Diablo for a low amount of health every second, and the mix will also gain effects based on which ingredients were added in the pre-fight menu. The Distilled Will allows Diablo to passively heal 70% of energy damage taken, and the Essence of Null gives him a 100% chance to nullify a buff on the opponent every 2 seconds, and the Grain of Uru gives him immunity to stun effects as well as armor break debuffs. But moving on to his poison debuffs, which the max stacks of these is 20, and these debuffs inflict a certain amount of direct damage over 14 seconds and reduce healing effects by 30%, and on his heavy attack, each hit will have a 100% chance to inflict a poison debuff, and on his second medium attack he has a 75% chance to inflict a poison debuff. But of course, moving on to his special attacks, the Special 1. After the attack, he will drink from his flask, and if he drinks for 1.5 seconds, he'll gain a regeneration passive, recovering a certain amount of health over 4 seconds, and if the drink is actually interrupted, he will then gain a Vial of Might and pause all his poison effects on the opponent for 10 seconds. The Special 2. The first hit reapplies all of his personal poison effects. The attack is also unblockable and deals a burst of energy damage, and this burst of damage increases by 20% for each buff and poison that the opponent has gained in the fight, and the max bonus that it can gain is 500%. And last but not least, the Special 3. The attack can only be used once per fight, and it also gains additional attack rating and gains different effects based on which alchemical ingredients have been selected in the pre-fight screen. If Distilled Will was enabled, he will gain a regeneration passive, healing a certain amount of health over 4 seconds, and if the Essence of Null was activated, he places 10 detonate buffs on the opponent, which lasts 20 seconds and deal a burst of energy damage when they expire or if they're nullified, and if the Grain of Uru was activated, the Philosopher's Mix will then be paused for 10 seconds, and lastly, for each Vial of Might, it has a 100% chance to inflict 2 poison debuffs. But moving on to his Awakened ability. While Diablo is poisoned, he takes a certain amount of reduced damage from all sources, and while the opponent is poisoned, he will then gain additional attack rating. And that is it for Diablo's abilities. A very poison heavy focused champion with a lot of utility built into his kit, and of course the ability to nullify since he's a mystic champion. His kit is pretty interesting, and overall I would actually say it's well designed. But of course, onto this man's attire, and the fit is... Huh? I mean, it's kinda cool that he has poison flasks around his waist. I also dig the purple shirt. I'm not too sure about his hairline, it looks like Vegeta's to me. But the hair flowing down does look pretty sick, and that's pretty much the end of the positives I have to say. Bro, just look at his sunglasses, man. What? It's like he's trying to be Batman or something? Nah, man, you're not him. If it was only the glasses that were pointing up, I would pretty much be fine with that. But the shoulder pads too? Come on, man. You can't tell me you'd wear this in public and still be confident in yourself. Nah. I guess it's still better than A-Bomb since he's basically wearing nothing. But anyways, onto the topic of why you should play him. Now Diablo, he's pretty much the best poison damage dealer in the game. His poison damage is super good. He can pretty much finish battleground fights in like 28 seconds, depending on how high ranked he is, and the utility that this guy has is just amazing. He's pretty much the best champion to run when it comes to suicide masteries, because he does take reduced damage from poison effects, as well as the Sig ability reducing all of the damage that he takes. He is an absolute beast, and in my opinion, if you do run the suicide masteries, he's pretty much the best champion you can get from the 7-star gifted Guardian's Crystal. And if you actually want to see how busted he is, I would recommend you to go check out T2's channel. But of course, if you don't run the suicide masteries, and if you don't have him awakened and high sigged, pretty much if you have him as a 7-star, he's still gonna be finishing fights super fast, and he'll actually be a great addition to your account. Without suicides, he's pretty much the second or third best champion in the crystal, but trust me, having them on makes him a completely different champion. Now the only problem I do have with him is that his Philosopher's Mix doesn't last too long, but of course this depends on which special attack you use, and unfortunately the utility you gain from his pre-fight ability are only active once you have the Philosopher's Mix active, but I feel like if he had those effects always active, he'd be too busted of a champion. Other than that, he's a top tier mystic champion, one that excels in terms of dealing damage, one that has super good as well as useful utility, and one that you should not regret ever getting from a crystal. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments who you guys got. Make sure to join my Discord group, the link will be down in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!